All right. Hello, 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 everyone. Another amazing interview. I'm trying to cover the whole spectrum. So, this interview, we get to talk to a former special education teacher, and she's going to share with us her story and how she knew it was time for her to move to her next level. So, I want you to introduce yourself and tell us about the moment that you knew you needed to do something a little different.
Okay. So, hi everybody. My name is Maat Holmes. And the moment I realized I wanted to do something different is when I knew that I wanted more out of life. And I didn't want to get stuck being in this career, being a teacher. I love the kids. And I also realized I really liked helping my colleagues. And I was beginning to do a lot more of that towards the end of being in the classroom. And I realized I really wanted to continue doing that work. At the same time, I'm also newly married and I have a little one on the way. And I really wanted to be able to have time to be a wife and a mom. So that's kind of when I realized, okay, it's time to make a change.
Okay, so there's a lot going on. First of all,
Yes.
congratulations. And I think there's also a point to other people as well, because there are some folks who are under the belief or the idea that you have to have been an educator for 20, 30, 40 years in order to consider yourself an expert. What
Mhm.
made you not think that?
Well, actually, Doctor, I'm glad you pointed that out because I was one of those people. It took me a while to realize, hey, I can do this work. Because for a while, like when I learned about consulting, I learned about it last year. I've seen people do it, but I was like, no, those are people that were former principals. Those are people that were former superintendents. They've been in the business or been in the educational field for over 20, 30 years. So I'm thinking, or even they were retired. So I'm thinking, oh no, I need more training. I got to go back to grad school. I might have to get a doctorate. I might have to do all these things. And so I just remember like joining in on some of your programs and being at your live event, realizing that I have the skill sets right now to be able to make that change. It took me a minute to get there, but I think I had to make that mindset shift. And that mindset shift really happened for me back in January when I got my first contract. And that
Yay!
was when I was like, oh my God, little old me that only has what a decade in education. They're asking for me to train their teachers. That's when I knew, okay, I'm capable of doing this.
Okay, so let's talk about this because I know that as folks are listening, they want to know, like, what do you mean? So you've been in education for 10 years and you knew you
Yes.
wanted to do something different, but it didn't take you 5 or 10 years to get a contract.
No.
And since then, you've done even more. So, what does that feel like to be able to create income outside of the school system? And are you still in the school system?
So it feels amazing because again, I remember looking at, especially last year when I was still teaching in the school, I will always look at that salary scale, that salary pay scale, and be like, okay, by the time I get to year 12, I'll be making this amount. And, I remember doing that even when I first became a teacher. I remember looking at that pay scale and like calculating when I'm going to hit close to six figures. And so when I realized that I started getting business and people started finding out about me because I've been in business for 5 years now as a tutoring company and a special education services company. And so that was doing pretty well until things started changing. And then when started getting into consulting, I was like, wow, this is something I can continue doing. I started utilizing resources, also getting expert coaching from you, and being a part of an amazing group of women, and just being inspired to keep working and continue to utilize the skills that I have to get more business. And so, to be honest, I left the classroom back in March. That's when I had my first contract, and I started getting others that were coming in right after, because I started putting myself first and putting my business first. And I realized if I want this to be successful, I have to put my energy into it and not try to split my time between being in the classroom and trying to grow a growing business. So that's what happened.
Okay. All right. So, I want you to tell us about, because it's some people who can definitely relate to this. But was there a denial process where you kind of tried to talk yourself out of it and just take the what we would call the easy way out of just re-signing the contract again?
Yes, I definitely was going through a denial process. I think last year it started for me when I first started learning about consulting and things of that nature. And even, getting more informed about it, I was like, again, didn't feel like I had enough years, didn't feel like I had enough credentials. So it took me a full year to get out of that whole I'm not good enough, like I'm not capable. And so once I got business back in January, the confidence was starting to creep. I wasn't totally sold yet, even though I had the paperwork, I had, the purchasing order, everything. I wasn't totally sold. I was like, I don't know. And then it wasn't until I started, talking about what I do and not just identifying myself as a special education teacher. I started identifying myself as a special education consultant, an educational consultant, and even people around me started coming to me because at first they were like, "Oh, you're a teacher, right? You're still in the classroom." I'm like, "No, I'm a consultant." So once I started changing how I identified myself, that's when the denial started to cease and begin to disappear. And even, in the months where it's slow, where I'm not getting as much business as I want, there has been moments where I'm like, maybe I should go back in the classroom because I know I can get a steady check. But I'm like, no, I made this commitment and I know something great is gonna come down the line because I'm putting the effort and I'm doing the work. So yeah, that was pretty much my process, was changing my mindset.
Okay, so you've already had a couple of contracts and you've gotten money. What was the work like? And I know people want to know about the business as well. So also tell us actually about your business and tell us a little bit about the contract that you had so that folks can understand what it might mean to get a contract and what type of work is involved in it.
Sure. So I'll definitely start with talking about the contract. So the contract happened right in the middle of me being a teacher. So I was working full time, and I just happened to go to a party, a family party, and it just so happened that this person I've known for years um, was an AP, and she was like, "You're a consultant. You're into consulting and doing PDs." I said, "Yeah." I was casually talking. And she was like, "Well, can you do PD at my school?" At first, I was gonna say no, but my mom looked at me, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, I can do it." And it was through the help of like being in your boot camp at the time, because I think you had a boot camp. You helped me flesh out like the pain points and all of those things, and really understand like what they needed for their program. So I was able to put together a three-part program, three-part program that had a PD series. It had a workshop for parents that needed help navigating the IEP. And then I created a student learning profile for all the students that had IEPs, for the teachers that were working with those students with IEPs. And it was very empowering, because that's what made me decide to leave the job I was at, because I just really love that I was able to use like my skill set, my brain, my expertise, to then share it with other teachers that needed this knowledge. And it was a lot of fun. It was nerve wracking because I'm over here talking to strangers. I'm literally like talking to people that are like, "Who are you?" Because I look young. Some of them were older than me or were more seasoned than I was. But I got past that, especially with the assistance of your guidance and everything. So it was a lot of fun. And then even working with the students, I've learned so much about them, and to the point where the administrator was like, "Oh my God, I didn't even know that you were able to pull information out of them that we didn't even get to do." So it was just great being able to use my skills to make some money, but also to make a difference. So that was a lot of fun. And it didn't take like forever to do it. Like I know when I was creating my program, like, oh my God, this is going to be forever. It wasn't, because I was doing what I always already was doing in the classroom. Like I literally was bringing it over to this program, but just also realizing I'm not a teacher, I'm an expert. So I have to, when I'm working with these teachers, there's a certain way to communicate with them so that they know I'm more of a partner and I'm not, their boss or anything. So it was a very invigorating experience.
And share with the folks the name of your business and how they can find you, and the how they might be able to work with you.
Sure. So my business is called Sankofa Learning Place LLC. You could find me on Facebook and Instagram right now. I am currently it's currently for Facebook, it's Sankofa Learning Place. And for Instagram, it's Sankofa underscore learning underscore place. And anyone who would like to partner with me, I work with parents, especially I've been advocating for parents for many years, but I really work with them with navigating the IEP. Also, if they need any assistance for their children who struggles academically, they might need tutoring, and I'm calling the tutoring services my Learning Lift program. So they need any support with that. Also, partnering and working with new teachers that need extra training or just need support with their teaching methods. And I also support students, like I said, through the Learning Lift program, tutoring services packages, as well as the special education services that we offer, which currently is called SETS. And so that's how people can reach out. If you're looking for me to do any PDs, professional development coaching, I have done that. We are always looking to support new clients that need our assistance.
And I think it's worth pointing out that you did such a great job on your contract. They invited you back, right?
Yes, they did. Yes.
And so how did that feel for them to approach you to come back for year two?
It felt great because I wasn't sure how I did in year one. Well, actually, the surveys. I think one of the great thing about doing these type of programs is I was able to get surveys. I love surveys. I'm a data person. I'm a data teacher, data woman, and just seeing just what they learned from me really helped me to know whether I was doing a good job, whether I, needed to tweak certain things. And there were certain things they did ask for next time. So just looking at the data, I'm like, okay, I think I did okay. And then when I did get the message, like, yeah, we're looking for you to do another program, I was like, oh, okay. It felt great. And so it just lets me know that I didn't have to wait forever to be able to get into this, that I have what I need to be able to support schools and educators.
All right. And so it just seems like things are pretty up for you. Here you are, you're consulting, you're getting married, you got your first child on the way, and you've relocated, and
Yes.
all in in what, a year's time?
Yes, literally a year.
So that within itself, I think that that is testament to the idea that it doesn't have to take 5, 10, 15, 20 years. A lot of times we will plan way too long, and we will put
Hmm.
things off thinking that it's going to take a long time. You literally said January, and then you were able to resign in March, and you've had
Hmm.
contracts and renewed contracts, and not just one, but all of this. And then you got the news of the expanding family, and just everything just started just kind of happening for you. And so tell us, what do you see a year from now? Now we got to take into consideration that you got to take a little time for the baby. Like, we're not going to be pushing through trying to do stuff with the new baby, just like you would at work. You're going to take some time off for work. But what do you see for your business? What's your vision for about a year, year and a half from now?
Okay, so I kind of put it all into like including family and business. So, of course, my little one will be making her arrival. And while that's happening, I see myself continuing to do the work. I have a lot of products I want to put out there, programs I want to create for especially new teachers, consulting I want to do with parents, really getting into that. And I see myself, in having my beautiful wedding and being on the beach at my honeymoon this time next year with my husband. And I'm looking at my bank account flying up from all the products, the programs that clients have purchased. And I'm just like smiling as I look at my bank account growing. That's what I see. And also just knowing that I'm supporting my clients.
We love it. All right. And you can tell that she really sees this because she's in the process of making it happen. So I absolutely love it. I am so excited and happy for you that you have been able to do all of this in such a short amount of time. And I just need everybody to know it does not have to take forever. You can make this happen. So, give folks a word of advice before we close out. What word would you give someone who they know it's time, they need to do something different, but they don't know what to do or they're a little scared? Like, what would you share with them?
I would share to never limit yourself, to dream big, and to always imagine like where you see yourself, where you want to go, and always strive for that, even if it seems crazy. Like, you couldn't tell me this time last year this would be my life, but I said it's going to happen. So I just kept going with it. I'm like, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I want it and I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to just keep seeing it. And so that's what I think, that educator who wants to make that change, just whatever you see for yourself, go after it, go for it, and don't limit yourself.
All right, that's an awesome word. Awesome, awesome. Again, congratulations on all of the successes that you've achieved. And I want to thank you for sharing your time and your story with the audience. Even if one person was able to take something from it and is able to move forward, we've done our job. So thank you, Maat, for joining us today. Thank you all. We got two more interviews coming up, y'all. So we got more coming. But thank you, Maat, and you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Dr. D. Bye.